know, Richard, the rates have gone up over 6.5. Did you know that?
I had no idea at all.
Yeah, it zoomed up a good 3/4 of a point here in the past probably 30 days. So that absolutely affects the buying power of buyers. So how do you get those buyers to pick your home to come see? Because the first showing's online, and if they don't like what they see, they're moving on. They're going to vote with their feet and not even show up. And then the very last topic is about how to prepare your home for sale properly so that you don't miss out on the perfect buyer. And as always, I love talking about our hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, the real estate boom does seem to be behind us right now. Interest rates are higher. There are more homes on the market, and the buyer demand has softened a little bit. So, the big question, Barb Schlinker, why is it that attractive marketing is not the solution for a home that is overpriced?
Well, the marketing helps, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. I have a lot of people say, oh, the pictures were awesome. And then when I got there, it was like, ooh, it's disappointing. It's not really the same size as I thought it was. You kind of sugar coated something that I needed to know, and it made them reject the home. So while marketing can really help, knock it out of the park, it is really not number one. Number one absolutely is pricing. So if you overprice, you have a problem. So every seller really wants the most money. They want the best terms. And these days, it's become a very instant society where people expect it to be done. I put my house on the market, it needs to be sold in 2 months. And that isn't necessarily always the case. However, I will say if it's priced right, you're going to get a contract right away. And the reality in today's market, the buyers are very cautious. They're much more informed than they have ever been. I'd say that's probably true, even Richard, about the news, right? People are getting their news from all different sources.
Probably 10 times as much information as they were getting in the old days when it was just radio, television, and a newspaper.
Right. I mean, the photos definitely get them there, but they are looking at the whole picture. They're not just looking at that one house. They're looking at all of the competition. The buyers are like, okay, I want a house like this in this location. What can I get in my price range? And I think buyers are a lot more price sensitive than they have been even just a couple of years ago. And here's a problem with overpricing. Excuse me. When this is a quote from the Wall Street. Hold on. Too much latte.
Clicker maneuver over there, Heimlich maneuver over there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't make fun. Actually, that can happen. It happens to me. James would tell you. I mean, David would tell you almost every day. Sooner or later, I have that issue. I'm sorry. Back to
Yeah,
you.
I don't
Go
know how
ahead.
you do it every day. I couldn't do it. Anyway, here's a quote from the Wall Street Journal. They said, when home sellers set prices too high, they are paying for it. And that's absolutely true. What do they mean by that? They mean if you set your price high and you slowly walk the price down, not only do you lose that fresh on the market buyer momentum, which most of it comes in the first, I'd say 7 to 30 days. Um, it doesn't help you. A lot of people think that, oh, we'll test the market and just see if a buyer will bite at that price. But it actually costs you money because when it doesn't work, what happens? The buyers are like, oh, looking at other homes. Yeah, I already saw that one. Yeah, not going to go see it. And over time, if you slowly walk the price down, you're gonna net less money. So when you see price cuts happen, typically every, I don't know, 30 days is pretty common. It hurts you more. The longer the days on market, the more the buyers think there's a lot more negotiating room. If they are interested, then they're going to go in the kill and go in for the kill and actually make a really strong offer. And you really cannot market your way out of a high price. When the home first hits the market, that's actually when you get the most attention. all the new listing alerts go out. The buyers and agents are in a hurry to see something fresh if they haven't found something for their buyers. And if it's priced right, then you're in good shape. Then the buyers will come see it and you have a better chance of them making an offer. If it's not, they're not going to come see it. They'll just kind of play wait and see. The other thing that happens over time, the longer it sits on the market, is the online traffic actually drops dramatically. The views start slowing way down. People are less interested in it because it's nothing new. Yeah, they saw that one before and they're still not willing to go look at it. So great marketing actually amplifies the price. In other words, if it's overpriced, it makes the problems even more visible. An example would be like, okay, it's overpriced, but the buyers like it, but they really don't want to pay that much. Just last week, I got an offer on one of my listings, and the agent actually sent almost 100 photos of the quality of the paint and asked for the whole interior of the house to be repainted. That was part of the offer. Don't you think that's kind of weird, Richard? To me, it was weird.
That is somebody who is obsessed with something that most Americans, the paint would be important. I mean, how fresh it is, what it looks like, but 100 photos?
It
Seriously?
was fresh paint. It just had a little daylight here and there, or maybe the ceiling wasn't painted, but the walls were. So it was like, okay, that's an odd one. It go buy a new house. So that's what I felt like saying to the buyer. Anyway, we never put that deal together. And so that happens. Or sometimes they'll criticize the house if it's not clean enough. Basically, the buyer's expectation is they want to move in, drop their stuff, and not even have to clean the house, not have to do any repairs, and feel like, oh, I got a great price for a house that is so well taken care of. It feels like it's new. And I've seen homes put on the market that were even 60, 70-year old that were able to make that presentation because of the way it was properly prepared before they went on the market. And more importantly, it was priced right, so it got a bidding war. And here's the problem with overpricing. The listing becomes stale. Buyers start to think, oh, what's wrong with it? Or they think, why hasn't it sold? Most of them don't really make note of that maybe the seller came out at a higher price and that didn't work. And then they slowly walk the price down. I notice it because that's the question I get from buyers. Why has it been on the market so long? It's like, well, they started at, 800,000 and now they're down at 625. So what do the buyers respond to? Oh, they must be desperate. Let's go in and make a low ball offer. So that's what happens when they see multiple price reductions. Some buyers will play wait and see. But the problem is you've really already missed your best buyer, and you absolutely missed the momentum and the opportunity to get competing buyers. So at the end of the day, if homes are priced correctly, you'll attract more buyers. You have a chance of getting competition and even stronger offers, sometimes multiple offers. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about why marketing cannot fix a pricing problem and how to avoid leaving money on the table when you go on the market. Richard?
We're talking with Barb Schlinker, your home sold, guaranteed realty. It is simple. Reach out to Barb by calling 719 301 3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb does have the buyer. She should be your real estate voice. Barb, talk to us a little bit more about how you can correct some things, perhaps not everything, when it comes to whether a home is priced right or overpriced.
Well, Richard, if you're overpriced, the buyers are going to vote with their feet right out of the gate. They're not going to show up. They're not going to want to come see the home. You're not going to have a bunch of agents calling, going, can I get in? Can I get in? That won't happen if it is not priced appropriately. So the warning signs typically are very few showings, or there are showings, but we're getting criticism from the agents during the showing. Well, it wasn't clean enough. I didn't like this. It wasn't updated. I want this. I want that. So when you hear that from feedback, it's a pricing problem. Some condition issues can be resolved sometimes, but most of the time it's not that. It's just price. And the market's going to tell you right away. So in today's market environment, the rates are higher. That means for buyers, the monthly payment is higher, and they don't want to invest that much money when they have very limited resources. We're stretching their affordability as it is right now with condition issues. That's why new construction, even though it's a smaller house, even though they have to put in landscaping, even though they have to put in window coverings, a lot of buyers opt for that because they make it easy for them. And everything is fresh and new and in good condition. Um, and what the mistake I see most of the time, and still to this day in the past couple of years, a majority of the agents are having to tell their sellers, over half, to reduce their price after they went on the market. Why is it? Because you're looking backwards at similar sales in a correcting market. The market is really gradually correcting down. What I'm looking at in average stats just in the past month or so, it's probably dropped a good 2 points just in the past 30 to 45 days. So you can't look back at a home that sold 4 months ago and go, oh, my home is worth that much. You have to stay ahead of it and price it what I call very realistically versus optimistically. That's the best way to win. And if you price it right, you'll be able to tell right away. There'll be all kinds of interest of people wanting to take a look at your home. And you can't rely on Zillow, because Zillow or Realtor.com, they're just using these automated, what they call algorithms. They're probably not even basing it off of home sales. They're basing it off of the asking price, which is not what the sales price actually is. So in this kind of market, you really can't guess. You have to have accurate data. You have to see who's getting contracts and where are they priced and how do they compare to you. You have to take a look at what your current competition is, as well as similar sales, and figure out the best number to position your home to win in this market. That's what we do for our clients every day. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Keep in mind that it does feel like overpricing is safe, but it's actually one of the riskiest things that a seller can do, especially in today's market. Reach out to Barb, talk with her. She will guide you on exactly what is going on right now. When we come back, what's considered to be a lowball offer in Colorado, and how will that impact the sale of your home? Is that all right?
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Can't take drugs.
So, Barb, you talk to a lot of people. I'm just curious, when you're out and about and you're talking with people, do they bring up this governor's race? Or, Richard, people aren't just talking about it. I mean, I'm out doing all my stuff and hardly ever does it come up in casual conversation. Or what would you say?
No.
I know. I mean, I keep saying, I don't think the average person, I'm going to do it maybe today or tomorrow if my mouth feels better. Just go out to the mall or something and interview, I don't know, 20, 30 people and just give them a name. So, what do you think of Victor Marx? What do you think of Barb Kirkmeyer? Things like that. I guarantee you, especially younger people, are going to look like a deer in the headlights.
I don't even know what their positions are
I
of those
know,
people.
right? And
I have no idea.
all of these candidates and their campaigns are hanging on everything by a thread, and they think that the average person knows all of this and is spending time up at night trying to figure it out. Folks, that's not how it works. All right, it does work if
Tina
I do
Peters
it.
is out of jail, though.
She is.
Yeah.
Isn't that good? That is great.
I hope she sues him big
I
time.
think that's going to be the case, and I think she's going to do well on that. All right, let's count it down. We'll go on three, two, one. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs, and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most people selling a home have got some very different ideas of the value of that home. Some believe that they should price it at the very top of the price range. Others want a quick sale, and others have no idea whatsoever. So, Barb Schlinker, you're the expert. How does a home seller price their home to negotiate the best price? And what should they do about low offers? Barb Schlinker.
Well, Richard, I think, to get the most money, you can't price in negotiating room. That will absolutely hurt you in the end. It's always good. And some people have this net number in their mind about, I need to net this much to make this work for whatever I'm doing on the other side. I wish it worked that way, but unfortunately, the market is the market, and the market's going to speak immediately if you didn't get that pricing right out of the gate. And it's hard to rely on those online Zestimates. Well, Zillow said my house is worth so and so, because first of all, they've never seen your home. They don't know how your home compares to other homes. They don't know if you have views. They don't know anything about it other than it's an asking price as compared to other homes. We had a listing recently that had multiple offers, and it was a wreck. There it goes. Pause it. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Just drink some water.
All right. So this home that we had in the mountains with nice views, house was kind of a mess. The plumbing didn't work. I mean, it really had a lot of problems, but they priced it very realistically. The seller did. And so it resulted in multiple offers in which it sold for well over asking price. Now, why is that happening? But the pretty homes are sitting on the market and they're slowly walking it down, and they don't get bidding wars because they're priced too high. They're looking backwards in the market, and that's essentially the problem. So when a home seller actually does get a low offer, they get offended, they get mad, they ignore it, you know, they kind of get really frustrated. But you really don't know what their agent is telling them. Sometimes their agent is saying, hey, if the seller doesn't pay my full commission, then you got to pay it out of pocket. I'm sorry. And they're not really trained to negotiate that. They could go up in price to cover their fee. Have you ever thought of that? No. So it's just frustrating for me sometimes when I see these agents that are obviously focused on their commission. And that's too bad, because I think in the long run, it's going to burn them. Like whenever that consumer needs another real estate transaction, they're not going to call them. They're not going to get repeat referral business if they get in the way of the buyer getting the house. Or sometimes they will talk them out of the house. Well, it's not worth that much. And how do they know what it's worth? Um, it, if the buyer wants the house, help them get the house. That's your job. But I think some people position their real estate business as, well, my value is defined as how much money I save the buyer or how much stuff I get from the seller. So they actually encourage their clients to make lowball offers. And I've had buyers initiate it from me, and they're like, well, I want to make this offer. I said, okay. And it took, on that particular property, that buyer ended up buying that home. But what was interesting was that I think we made 4 different offers, and the agent was just, beside themselves, criticizing me and thinking I was behind it. But I wasn't. I was just, that's what the buyer wanted to pay. And we ended up finally reaching an agreement at one point. But initially, they ignored the buyer. The second round, they insulted and rejected the buyer. The third round, they allegedly got outbid, and then the agent forgot to put in the MLS that it had an HOA. And that made the third buyer walk away. And then the fourth round, we finally got in there and put the deal together. And, I have one of the agents that's on my team, and she has her own business too. Her name is Jen. She's amazing. She's from China. I call her my sister from a different mother. So we're very close. She's really, really smart when it comes to money and negotiating. And she has this thing that she says that I think is really cute, about when you are in the throes of negotiating, just get done. Just get it done. If that's what they want, get it done. She leaves out the it and just says get done, which is really cute. But, help the buyer do what they want to do. And you have to have them look at it in different ways. The same with the seller. Well, I want this much money. I'm like, I know, but we don't have any other choices. This is the offer that we have on the table, rather than, insulting them or, rejecting them summarily. Negotiate with them. Okay, this is what I will accept. What will you accept? And tell them that and go from there. But a lot of people won't do it. They get very offended. And it's too bad. A lot of it goes back to the real estate industry. And I hate to say this, but there is no job description. There's no how to, especially when it comes to negotiating. And 71, this is a Zillow number. This was in 2025. Zillow said that 72% was the number of agents sold zero homes, nothing, nada. Most of the time I'm talking to agents after business hours because they have other jobs. I can hear the restaurant in the background. And, I know typically when we price the home correctly, and they may not understand. So I'll see sometimes where we'll have a bidding war and they'll tell their buyer not to make their best offer, thinking that's the way you save the buyer money. And unfortunately, it ends up where that buyer doesn't get the house. This happened multiple times just in the past couple of months because they're not really paying attention to what's going on. But the real opinion of value is what the buyer is willing to pay. We use similar sales to support the price in order for the appraiser, if the buyer's getting a loan only, if they're paying cash, it doesn't matter. But if the appraiser agrees it's worth that much, then that's all we need to worry about for that purpose. But if the buyer is willing to pay a price, that's a good indication of what the value is. That's why I like using under contract sales as well. Now, similar sales should be apples to apples, like a ranch style floor plan with the basement against another one. But also I'm looking at what can a buyer get in that general price range. If we don't get that right, like if the buyer sees, oh, I can get a new home over here, or I can get a bigger home with this, or a newer home over there, you have to pay attention to what that buyer's current competition is when you're deciding on A, pricing, and B, negotiating. So here are some mistakes that most people make when they negotiate. First of all, if you get a low offer, take into consideration the market conditions. Now, just to go back to that stat that 72% of agents didn't sell any home, 87% of agents get out of the business every 5 years, right? So how much do they really know about the market if they're not selling homes? Yet they will tell their buyer, oh, it's a tough market. You can ask for everything you want. You can ask for closing costs, reduce the price, ask for repairs and improvements, and fries with that too. And you're going to get it because the market's bad in their mind. But it's not necessarily the case, especially if you're facing competing offers. If you price it too high, it's pretty obvious the buyers won't show up. And of course, the sellers want the most, but the buyers also want the most home that they can get in their price range. So if you price it too high for negotiating room, chances are you won't get any offers at all. Or if you do, they're low offers. And that's a clue that you're not priced right. That's why I always try to encourage my sellers to, excuse me, encourage my sellers to price it what I call realistically versus optimistically, because generally that's the way you command the most money. Strategy number 2, both sides kind of need to feel like they won something. So there should be some back and forth, unless you have competing offers. And then you have, as a seller, you have that leverage to go, well, I got 3 other offers and you're number 2. What's your best and highest? You can do that. But if you're, I remember I got an offer last year on one of my listings where she came in below asking price, asked for closing cost and a new roof. And if we don't get what we want, then we're walking away. I'm just trying to provide a win-win offer. And I'm like, that seems like a win-lose offer, you know, but she wanted a new roof solely because the current roof that was on the house was 10 years old. Or sometimes they actually ask for repairs in the actual offer, which in my view is kind of a mistake. But at the end of the day, the sellers should not get offended when they get a low offer. Work with them. They're trying to bring you money. Don't shoot them. You know, tell them what you will accept at the very least. Try to throw them something. Typically, people are reasonable and they might pick a number in between. And I know that agents are encouraging their buyers to make low offers and ask for concessions and ask for 3% commission, even though they haven't even left their fuzzy bunny slippers and they filled out a 10-minute form fill and they want to make $20,000 to $30,000. I see it all the time. It's very frustrating for the sellers because they're like, wait, what did that agent do? Why should I pay that much? You know, so they don't understand, and I don't blame them. But the best scenario is just to keep communicating, keep loving on them until we can try to put a deal together. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The one good thing about getting offers is it's a pretty good clue that you're going to get another one. That's the good thing. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do you deal with low offers? How do you work with them? And next up, we're going to talk about some other negotiating mistakes. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the host of the program and the owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach Barb at 719-301-3900. So Barb, what are some other things that a home seller can do to properly negotiate that home sale?
Well, number one, don't expect a bit anymore, but if you get it, it's a happy time. It's a lot of fun. But you know, there's a way to set it up for success like that. And I've done that before, and it's really a blast when we get to do it. But they're becoming less common because the buyers obviously have more choices. There are fewer buyers that can afford it in this higher interest rate environment. The other thing is try not to get too emotional. It is a business transaction. It doesn't matter if the agent hates me or you know, I've had a bad experience with that agent or anything like that. It makes no difference. It's all about the buyer wants the house. We have an obligation to present the offer, and the seller should make a response based on the offer. Now, yes, we've seen agents that will try to talk down the house, which actually seems opposite of what most people think they should be doing. Why are they saying something like it's not worth that much, or it won't be approved for financing, or the insurance is going to be too high? You know, they're trying to give advice to their client, but their client wants the house. You know, they don't do that in car dealerships, do they, Richard? You got somebody that wants a car, they don't try to talk them out of it. Anyway, that's what I think.
Hold on, Barb. I'm sorry. I was taking a sip of water.
It's okay.
We would call that negotiation by insult. Does that work?
It happens. And I think because there is no job description for real estate agents in general, they define their own job and they're thinking, oh, well, if I save my buyer money, get them a discount, get them repairs, get them stuff, then they'll love me for it. Right. And it's not always the case if they are the ones that cause you not to get the house. Also, put up some cameras around your house. You want to hear what they're saying when they come in. I think it's really good intel. And, you know, you pretty much have to expect you're going to be on camera almost everywhere you go in the country these days. So go ahead and put them up. Find out what they're saying. That will at least give you a clue when you do get an offer, because it could be the agent going, oh, yeah, come on, to make a low offer. They'll definitely take it. Um, And how do you know when the price is wrong? It's very simple. If you've had 10 or more buyers go through the home and you're not getting offers or you're not getting a contract, the price is too high. If you've had 10 or more buyers come through the home in the last 2 weeks, no offers, the price is too high. It's simple math and we can help you do it. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We help people all the time figure out how to price their homes so they're positioned to get the most money when they sell. And we also will show up with cash offers as a backup for you. Just call us at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you'd like to reach out, the number is 719-301-3900. Or as always, visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how home sellers are attracting buyers even in today's market. Don't miss that.
All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a soda. Hmm.
So here's a little cheat sheet. This is going to tell you who represents you in Congress. And all right, I'm good to go, Barb.
I'm ready. Just
That's what
catching
I
up on
should say. I'm
text.
good to go. But all right, count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we're talking about one of the average person's largest assets, the home. Many people have sat on the sideline and decided not to buy because the rates and or the prices are just too high right now. So Barb, there are ways to make homes more attractive and more affordable to buyers. Tell us about that.
Well, Richard, I think it gets back to this pricing discussion again. But I get surprised every day. I had somebody that got a contract on one of my listings, and I was really shocked that they were able to get a 3% fixed mortgage for 30 years from some special program for low and medium income families. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's just awesome. you know. So there's if you look hard, you can find solutions out there to make the home more affordable. And you want to make sure that you find a way to market the home in such a way that the buyers put your home on the must-see list. So some of the things that we do, there's an awful lot of military veteran homeowners out here in the Pikes Peak region right now that are sitting on super low interest rates. So when they go to sell, if they're willing to let their VA loan be assumed, that buyer, all they have to do is bring the difference in cash, and they can walk straight into that loan with that low payment, which is incredible. I mean, if you look at like an average mortgage balance right now, say 500,000, over the life of the loan, having an interest rate of 2 or 3% versus 6.5% would actually save that buyer about $500,000 in interest and a lot of money in payments. So these are the kind of things that our MLS won't let us market. We can't put stuff like that in our description. Is that dumb or what?
That would be exceedingly dumb, in my opinion.
But I found a way around it. And so far, I haven't been taken to the MLS police about that because I want the public to know about the home and also what are the special programs that can help them get into a home. Another example would be if they have a house to sell. Most agent solution to a house to sell is, well, we'll wait till our house goes under contract and then make a panicky offer and hope that everything timing wise works out. Or we risk not getting that home that we really want because our home is not under contract. So we have 6 different buy before you sell programs. Some allow you to take your equity out without having a payment, and it just puts a lien on your current home. Some of them actually, these are lenders that do it. They will go in and actually buy your next home for cash and then let you take your time selling without having to make 2 payments. So there's some fabulous solutions out there, and I would do that if I was in that situation because it keeps you from missing out on the perfect home. So we know how to market these to the public so they know those programs are available, and that helps put our sellers' listings on the must-see list for the buyers. Like, wow, I can get this home for this low of a payment and be able to walk right into a low interest loan like that. I want to see that house. And there were some buyers that kind of just said, oh, financially I'm out, and they're sitting on the sidelines on buying a home because the payment structure is so high. Even rent is high right now. Some of these buyers, I've seen them go live with family and save a huge down payment to make it more affordable, which I think is another really great strategy. But there's a really good opportunity for sellers right now to attract the buyers. The builders do this too. I just had one of my agents, my beloved agent, Jen, brought a buyer to a new construction site. and they had gone out and purchased low interest mortgages in advance. So this buyer walked right into a 3% mortgage on a brand new home. They are just happy as clams. So, and the builders do it. Why can't we do it? So I am doing it with some of my sellers that let me do that. Other things that we see are the interest rate buy downs. So typically, what happens without you offering these programs is that the buyers will come in and go, oh, okay, I'll pay the price, but will you pay 10, 20,000 in closing cost? Now, most sellers experience absolute sticker shock when they get that request. They're like, what? The buyer wants me, so I got to pay all the commission and title and settle up taxes and the HOA transfer fee. And now I got to pay the buyer's loan closing costs too. So yes, that's what they're asking for. But you can offer it up front and be able to command a higher price because they're just trying to get into the home with a low payment, and it turns a maybe buyer into a real buyer. So don't turn these buyers away. Find ways to make it work. We do this all the time. I have one closing this week where the buyer asked for 10,000 in closing costs. So we split the difference. We went up in price by a little bit to cover half of those closing costs, but the other half were covered by the seller. And the buyer's like, that works. I just had a cash problem and that we'll take care of it. And boom, they're closing, they're under contract. So buyers typically are asking for concessions, especially on prices below 500,000. And those costs are negotiable. You can go back and forth with a number. What I did just last weekend, they asked for 10,000. Seller's only willing to pay 7, but I let the agent know, hey, if the buyer really wants closing costs, we can go up in price by that difference and cover all of it. Because we know that we have similar sales that will prove the value. So we won't run into an appraisal problem and they'll have enough cash to make it work. So that is called negotiating. And that's what actually happened. The buyer said, okay, fine, I'll pay a little bit more money, but I'll also get all of the closing costs that I asked for and get my lower payment, which is what I really, really want. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how smart sellers are finding ways to attract buyers to their homes, especially in today's market where the prices are just gradually declining, so much so that it's kind of surprising that, we set a price and then a month later it's not working. So we help people do this week in and week out, and I can help you position the home so it lands on every buyer's must-see list. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. The host of the program, Barb Schlinker, you want her as your real estate voice. She is the owner-proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Reach out to her at 719-301-3900. And today we're talking about how to position your home so it lands on every buyer's must-see list. More of that, if you would, Barb.
Well, absolutely. So, what the market's doing right now, typically we go into the summer. That's when most of the homes hit the market. That's when, as a home seller, you actually have a lot more competition because people want to move when their kids are out of school. And so you'll see a lot of homes hit the market. You'll also see a lot of more sales going on. But that means for a home seller, you've got competition. So even though sales are slightly higher, I would say net sales are probably a little bit down as they were compared to a year ago. So you have to make yourself and your house stand out. And that's what we help home sellers do all the time. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. You need a good strategy to sell your home. This shouldn't be guesswork. People really hate the uncertainty. And right now, the buyers are very well educated. They're comparing everything. So the 4 keys to getting it right is number 1, pick the right agent, prepare the home properly, make sure you price it right and price it strategically to make the buyers go, oh, well, here's these homes on the market, but I want to see that one because that looks like the best deal. And you can do that with incentives as well, including things like offering buy downs and different kinds of financing. Did you know, Richard, that anywhere from 70 to 80% of people that are buyers out there have a house to sell? Do you realize that that number was that high? I can't hear you. Did he
Actually,
mute?
Barb, I had no idea that that number would be that high.
Yeah, it's quite a few. And most of the agents really don't have any kind of solution for it other than the absolute panic part of, oh my God, I got to time three different sales at the same time. I have a client going through that right now. That's what she chose. But basically, we got her home on the market. We got it under contract right away. She goes under contract contingent on her home closing in another area. And then that seller is also buying another home. So it's a three-way transaction. And she's kind of stuck in the middle where the place that she's going to won't get out because the seller for the house that she's buying wants to put new carpet in her new home, and you're just going to have to wait, and it creates a lot of stress to try to juggle all those balls and get all these things coordinated at the same time. And there are other solutions for that where you don't have to worry about it and would take a lot of the stress off of a process that's already quite stressful. But at the end of the day, if it's not priced right, it's not going to move. I talk about that almost in every segment. And why do some homes fail to sell? Well, I think it's pricing. For me, that's a 90% solution because we just sold a home last week that was basically a crack house. It was really gross. It was condemned. You couldn't go inside. But because they priced it right, they had multiple offers and it sold for like 50,000 over asking price. Sometimes it's condition, sometimes it's just poor marketing, but at the end of the day, pricing trumps all of that. But if you have bad marketing, bad photos, I'm surprised, Richard. Still to this day, I'll look at listings and go, oh my gosh, this is a $900,000 property. And the agent was too cheap to take professional photos. It's obvious she used her smartphone. I'm like, give me a break. Buyers are expecting more. And some buyers will move on if they don't like the way it looks. And then we also have the cash offer option. So there's some people that just don't want to deal with showings. They don't want to deal with open houses. They don't want to fix anything. They just want to it sold and to move on. So we can help them because typically we show up with anywhere from 6 to 12 offers on every listing. And then we also have our own database of buyers that will come in and buy their home. Some of them will say, hey, leave whatever you don't want. We'll take care of it. Or they'll let them stay after closing so they can move at their pace. That's what a lot of home sellers want these days because the whole moving process, especially as we get older, is rather a challenge for most people. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to prepare your home for sale and do it the right way. Plus, Barb has her hot new listings. Stay tuned for that. Picking them up and laying them down, as they say.
I'm going to follow the script. I don't know why. I'd be a
It's
really
always good
lousy
to have it as a backup, though.
I will say, you do keep me on my toes, Barb.
Well, I appreciate that you listen so hard.
Well, you know what? It's actually interesting. I mean, I have to say, there are times when, actually, we've done shows where I'm like, oh, well, we've talked about this before. And I'm like, well, we have, but not exactly like how you're saying it today.
Yeah.
You keep it
I'm,
fresh.
I'm planning on this month building out a new podcast studio.
Oh, nice. You
And
know what? I know somebody who does that kind of thing.
you do?
Well, I don't know if it's a podcast studio because a podcast, are you talking about videotaping it or just audio?
Both, because it's a bigger space. Like you saw my little ugly
Oh,
cubby.
yeah. That, gosh, yeah.
Um, it's a bigger room, and then I'm having the stager do all the furniture. And that what I want to do to make it more interesting is to interview people, you
There
know,
you go.
different different trades and
Well, I
even
think that
my own
worked really
agents.
well when you did it with that guy who was,
Scott, yeah.
yeah, that actually came here to this studio, and I thought that worked really well.
Yeah.
Um,
And we could do some of that too. I just want to, it's just, I think people are
I
getting
would
tired.
imagine some of that would carry over. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you have guests, Richard, quite a bit.
I used to a lot. And then after COVID, not so much. And we've gone back to it only in the past couple of months because for a long time we didn't have people coming in. Now the temperature in here is 80 degrees.
Oh my God.
yeah.
So we're gonna having a guy who's running for mayor. He just announced today, and a lot of people. I mean, you are in the studio all the time. It's not a big deal to you, but I think you've realized that for a lot of people, it is a big deal to them. So even if you tell them it sounds the same one way or another, they like the formality of coming in and being in the studio and getting a
Oh yeah.
picture of you and them in the studio, that kind
It's
of thing.
awesome.
So yeah,
But I just want to mix it up a little bit.
yep, I think
It's
that's a
hard
good
to
idea.
get video in that space.
Well, and I was thinking when you said that staging, I'm like, man, people are going to say, wait, you think we should stage the house, but you didn't think we were supposed to stage the studio you were going to shoot in? So I think that's a great idea.
Well, and I want to be able to have a conversation with guests, um, ask questions and, you know,
Nope, I think it's a great
might be
idea.
more interesting.
I think it is a great idea.
Maybe, maybe someday I'll get a YouTube plaque. Maybe.
You know what? And I keep going back and forth on things. I've thought about the same thing, and I have all these great ideas. The problem is implementing all these great ideas with as much time as there is tends to be a little bit of a problem sometimes. All right, I'm going to count us down on this one, and I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many home sellers fear the home inspection. Many people think that most buyers want to purchase their home as is. But what are the best ways to prepare a home for sale so it does not get derailed when they have the inspection?
Well, Richard, I think the most home sellers assume that their home is sold as is, where is, with all its faults, and that can work if it's priced low enough. But in general, I'm just talking about the full retail sales. Buyers are expecting a lot. They want the house to be perfect pretty much. And so that doesn't mean a full-on remodel. It just means that there's no broken stuff. There's no deferred maintenance. Like I'm helping a seller now that they were listed with another agent and they had very bright colored carpet and the paint was kind of rough and so anyway, they corrected those things and also corrected the price at the same time, and boom, got a bidding more. So it does help to make a home move in ready. Now, does that mean the buyers are still going to take it as is? No, they're going to try to find flaws on their inspection. It drives me nuts that of all the things that the state regulates, they don't regulate inspectors. So any Joe, Billy, Bob could be an inspector, or Joe, Susie, Bob, I don't care who it is. And there's no qualification. Most of them, if it makes you feel better, get an online certification. But they're like, well, I went to a class, so I know how to run a sewer scope. One of my colleagues, I'm working a listing with him, showed me a picture because he was there for the inspection where this guy drug in this disgusting thing that's like a tube with the camera on the end that checks sewer lines, but they were dragging it across the brand new carpet.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like, ew, what are you doing? It's just common sense. They don't think anything of it. So at the end of the day, if you plan ahead, sometimes they skip those type of inspections. So it's very frustrating for home sellers that where they go under contract, they're all happy at that point, and then time for the inspection, and then they ask for ridiculous amount of stuff. I got one a few weeks ago where I said, wow, you just gave me my new full-time job because the seller's out of state, and I had to get the seller to help me because it was just too much. But there wasn't really that much wrong with the house. It's just that this buyer wanted everything, even in a low priced home. So it's very frustrating when they get those, because not only do they need to decide whether or not they're going to do these repairs to get the buyer to the finish line, but they also have to hustle to get all these repairs coordinated. It takes a lot of effort and time, sometimes a lot of expense. And, they don't license inspectors, so you never know who's going to show up, what their skill is in doing this. I had one yesterday where the house, there's a certain kind of plumbing called polybutylene. It's a dark gray color. And what it was known for was the fittings would fail, not the plumbing, but the connections between the plumbing lines. And so this particular house has the gray pipe, it's a dark gray color, but not the fittings. It's an upgraded version. So of course the inspector's like, oh, red alert, polybutylene, got to replace the whole plumbing system. And now the buyer is in doubt. So I had to explain to him, I'm like, no, this one doesn't have the fittings. Look at how it was installed. So anyway, that is the kind of stuff that we have to deal with all the time. And they don't have to be qualified to do anything. And sellers get pretty frustrated at losing a buyer over inspection. It could happen. And it kind of, especially if they don't say why, and then they just rug pull and say, we're out and we're not going to tell you what happened, but it's just too much work for us. We're leaving. And so that's a problem. We also have inspectors come in and run their mold wand, which I think is silly. I don't even know if it's really true. If they see discoloration, they automatically go to the M word and say, it's mold, it's killer mold, and we've lost buyers over this assumption, over whether or not there was mold, or even if the house had been treated and repaired, they asked for it again. So I see all kinds of crazy stuff on inspections. Roofs, I would say probably, well, at least 2 out of 4, maybe 2 out of 3 of my listings every other week are having to do something with the roof, either repair or replace or something, right? And it's just because hail and hail damage is pretty prevalent. Now, does that mean that you have to replace the roof? No. I had one seller say, not doing it. We will give the buyer a credit to put this seal, kind of like Flex Seal, on a roof, and that'll keep it from leaking. So the seller gave the buyer a credit for that. The total cost was $5,000. He gave him $2,500. And right around the closing, I asked the buyer's agent. So I said, so is the buyer going to seal the roof? And he goes, no, she's just going to wait for the next hailstorm and file a claim. I'm like, oh my God, what a scam. It's ridiculous. Yep. Furnace replacements, generally the inspectors will deem furnaces dead after 22 years. They'll deem water heaters dead after 8 years, and smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors dead after 10 years. Now, are they dead? No, my water heater lasted, I think, 25 years. So there are ways around it. So we can include a home warranty and say, look, we will warrant this for a year after the buyer closes, that if it fails, then the warranty company will come in and repair or replace it. Sewer lines, that's, oh my God, I spent so much time on this. But basically, most homeowners don't do anything about it if there's no backups or problems. They're just like, it works fine. Why do I need to check into it? But these inspectors come in, and this actually is a relatively new thing. They started checking sewer lines, I think, around 2016. And at first, these inspectors didn't know what they were doing. So they were going through toilets and through tubs and scratching those appliances and just creating havoc. And I didn't even know what was going on. I had no idea until I started leaning forward on these inspections, going, what are these guys doing all of a sudden? And again, they're not qualified, they're not licensed. They're just coming in and doing things like pulling toilets without permission and going through the sewer line and going, oh, it's broken. Oh, you got to replace it. $13,000 repair. So I always highly recommend to home sellers get that done in advance. Bring in a plumbing company or a drain company and have them check it out in advance. Get the video. That way, you know in advance, you have time to negotiate if you do have to do repairs, and you have time to, when you provide it to the buyer, sometimes the buyer won't do a second sewer scope. Most of them will do a second inspection, but they won't do a second sewer scope. So you've heard of certified pre-owned cars, right, Richard?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if it would actually make it more interesting to me or not. I think it does. It gives the buyer a warm fuzzy. So we do something very similar with houses. We want to make sure we've checked out the systems if the seller agrees to the system. Now, will it make the home sell faster? Sometimes it will. Will it give the buyer peace of mind? Yes, they want to know the condition of the home if they're thinking of making an offer. And you can just say, look, I'm only going to fix what was identified on my inspection. You can expect all you want, but we're not going to do it. But it basically gives the buyer that warm fuzzy that this home has already been checked out. It's been anything that needed to be addressed was addressed if the seller chooses to do it. And we provide a home warranty. It gives the buyers lots of confidence. It prevents negotiating down on repairs. And I even had one, actually two more recently, that one only had one really minor item on the inspection report. And the other one, the buyer said, we're waiving our inspection, just give us receipts of repairs. So it's a really good idea to do this program. And it's very inexpensive. So if you are thinking of making a move, you want to take advantage of our certified pre-owned home program, give us a call. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how you can offer your home as a certified pre-owned home. And next up, we'll be talking about the benefits of that program. Richard.
You're listening to Barb Schlinker with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are interested in selling your home, you want to call Barb at 719 301 3900. Barb, how can our listeners save money when they sell their home with a certified pre owned home?
Well, the average homeowner lists their home the traditional way. They put it on the market. They're thinking, well, can't we just give them a credit, which sometimes that works for money instead of doing work on the home. But if you've already checked it out, if you're already able to prove that to a buyer, it actually will save you money in the long run. It protects you from having to be in a rush to negotiate repairs. There won't be any surprises, and you get to control the outcome rather than the buyer controlling by asking for stuff. And then we actually look at things like the title to make sure that's squared away. Sometimes there are surprises on title. We provide a home warranty, and the buyer has a home warranty, both for the seller during the listing and the buyer after closing. And then we have all kinds of things within the program that help you actually get more benefits. So if you want to find out about that, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard? I can't hear you. Is it time for me to talk?
do two jobs at once and then come in and talk to you on top of it.
Sorry, DJ.
Here we go again, Barb. I'm sorry. Three, two, one. You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, you can reach Barb at 719 301 3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. So, my favorite time of the program, yours as well, Barb. Hot new listings, send it.
Well, Richard, I'm excited about all of them. This one in particular is very special. On 7.5 acres, 18515 steeplechase, beautiful log home with an attached oversized, almost 3-car, plus a detached garage that carries about 6 cars. Heavily treed, gorgeous, peaceful place, only 30 minutes, from town. Another lovely home that's been remodeled, 2806 Casden in the mid threes. A beautiful, a beautiful 2-story home in Briargate, almost 3,900 square feet in the mid sixes. That one we're going to be holding open today. Another special home in Monument on Agate Creek, spectacular views, about the same size, 3,800 square feet in the mid sevens. Amazing home in Divide. This home is actually at $699 on 3 acres that has lake view. You don't see too many waterfront properties actually in Colorado, and it's just a spectacular home. Another one on 14920 Jorba Grove in the low sixes on 35 acres with a big 2-car plus a detached pole barn that's perfect for the 4-legged family members. We have 2 amazing properties in Crystal Park behind Manitou up the mountain, 6770 Eagle Mountain Drive, just under $1 million with a detached RV garage, beautiful, almost new home. Another fabulous home on Reno Road on 62 acres south of Pueblo, lots of privacy there with a 4-car garage. An amazing ranch on Cascading Spring Circle in Peyton at 469, a perfect downsize or starter home, 4853 Sonata at 199 with a detached garage. Beautiful downtown townhome on 275 East Fountain at 524,999. Really, really amazing place with a 2-car garage. Another beautiful home in Manitou on Sugarloaf Road in the mid 8s with amazing views plus solar. Beautiful home on Mead Avenue, priced in the low 3s. And then an amazing 2-story with a beautiful garden in the low 5s on Balsam Street. Great home down in Pueblo on Gold King in the low 6s. Another one on 5 acres on Warriors Path. And a couple of more really high-end gorgeous homes. This one's a hobby farm on Judge Orr Road, priced just under $1.4 million with a 5,400 square foot beautiful custom ranch, plus an auxiliary dwelling unit and space for 11 cars and 2 barns. We also have an amazing property on 2754 County Road 421 in Florissant, priced at $2.15 million. This one also has an amazing detached garage, and you can see views of every mountain range from that home. To find out more, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com and click on featured properties.
That'll do it for this week. Barb, you have a great week. Look forward to talking to you next week as well. And remember to get in touch with Barb, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Plus, you'll find her on all of the podcast platforms and YouTube as well. I'm Richard Randall. Thank you for joining us. Barb, have a great week.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
So just cut the beginning off. Okay. I think we're good there. And so what are we going to do? Why pricing can't fix why